Hey Goobs, it's me Jiv, aka the first recommended today for some apparent reason. So, in today's video, we're going to be looking at what counts or what makes a Fursona. Well, believe it or not, this is actually going to be quite an interesting video, because the whole reason why I want to make this is actually because of a comment I got on one of my videos of someone saying, does my profile picture count as a Fursona? And it was like this, I think they're called Nekos, I'm pretty sure. I don't know what they're called, but technically it's an anime character with like animal ears and stuff, which, like I said, I'm very sure they are called something like that. But anyway, when I looked into it, I thought some people probably don't really know what classifies as a Fursona or not. And mind you, I'm not making this video to gatekeep or anything. It's just laying down, what actually is kind of as a Fursona. But I do want to try and, just explain what a Fursona is and just everything in that regard. So let's begin in the video. So, what is a Fursona? So, a Fursona is an anthropomorphic, animalistic character that has more or less some sort of gimmick to how a person represents them. Kind of like an OC, which that is practically what it is. But with more or less with just like more of an animalistic anthropomorphic features, which that's kind of how it is with what a Fursona mainly. It's kind of like myself, you kind of are looking at a Fursona, just a massive retro scale of what one can be. It can be many species, honestly it can be. I mean, I've literally seen a worm Fursona before. I've also seen like, I don't know, fucking a bee one, I think, I'm not sure. But there's many sort of, different loops and everything about what a Fursona can be. So, what does it normally involve in a Fursona? So, a Fursona can, well, like I already mentioned, it can mention a species, which could be like anything like a wolf, cat, fox, something like even like a dragon, believe it or not. But the design of a Fursona can mostly include like different colours, markings, clothing, accessories, and overall style, which could actually mean like things like horns, probably like another tail, I guess, or it could also mean like just clothing that they probably like, or they wear overall in real life maybe, or just things that they think will suit the Fursona, which honestly I have seen, which I think is very cool and pretty adorable as well. Now, with colours as well, they could literally have any colour, by the way, when it comes down to colours. Same goes with markings as well, which even though some markings, when some people have made fursuits and even made Fursonas, can be quite controversial. If you know, you know. But mostly through the design of markings and stuff, mostly just comes down to like stripes, spots, etc. Kind of like, what's on an animal, which is kind of normal with that regarding the furry fandom, with what a Fursona actually can be. But they also could be like custom markings and other things, like from a game or anything such as that, which is actually pretty cool, and it could literally just be anything. Now, believe it or not, people's Fursonas can often come with personality, which can reflect, possibly the creator's personality of who made the OC, or it could just be like a certain character's OC that they thought would be fitting for that Fursona, or something like an alter ego, which is actually something that can explain what a Fursona mostly can be, and why it's so personal to like the people that make Fursonas as well. Which is pretty interesting in my opinion, very cool, because this is actually one of the reasons why I kind of joined, because I thought it was very interesting that we made it so personalised to where, we kind of like straight up fucking love the Fursona to that extent, like to where it's like technically another version of yourself, which I thought was very interesting, and it's kind of a good reason to why I joined the fandom myself, but it's also another reason as a whole to why Fursonas kind of exist, and why you see a load of them in the furry fandom. Now, other Fursonas, even though this does not necessarily classify or doesn't classify if you have or haven't got one of these, because technically any OC can have this, but if you don't have one, such as myself, you don't really need to have one for a Fursona. But technically, having a backstory is not really a thing that you need. Same goes with actually a name as well. You don't really need a name to have a Fursona, you just need to just make a Fursona if you want to have, guess what, a Fursona. Just having that design as a whole is just enough, but if you want to put into more detail, like most people do, which is actually pretty cool, is that they have more like a name and a backstory. Personally, I always have a name. I mean, look at my channel, that is literally what my Fursona is called. But with a backstory, I don't really go into, but I know many furries have, and actually, believe it or not, I've been putting in many conversations about their backstories and stuff, which I thought was kind of cool. Personally, I think it's pretty valid and very interesting to hear other people's backstories. It actually could come off as like real life experiences or things that they have like made up and stuff, which honestly, even if it's made up, it's still creative thinking at the end of the day, and it's still very interesting to see how the fandom, goes with that. Now, another feature, which, like I said, is not really it's not really necessary to do this, but it is a feature that I think a lot of furries do just by default because it is their Fursona and their OC, is that they use it. In the regards of just like for arts, obviously, roleplay, profile pictures, avatars, fursuits, you name it, anything around the furries, it's there. But it's something that I've noticed is that it's very, very interesting to generally see this because, you know, they are like very intertwined with their Fursona, and I think why it mostly happens is mostly because the fandom and the, you know, and when they make their Fursona, they make it so personalized to them to where it's like another part of them. Not like to the part of like a theory, and obviously not, but it's just something that they probably use to express themselves online, which is actually pretty interesting and pretty cool. But it's also very, 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 you know, fun. It's also a very big creative way of doing things, and also possibly a solution if you can't find a profile picture, or you just generally don't know what to have for your avatar design or whatever. You could pretty much go to the furry fandom for that sort of stuff if that's what you're interested in. If you're interested in anthropomorphic animals, of course, but it is a way to just find more or less of a place for you sort of thing. It is very, very, you know, fun because you can technically just make your Fursona, and that's kind of like that. I mean, you don't have to really, you know, go too much in detail. You just need to just make a design, a species, just well make a design, pick a species, probably add a personality if you want, make it yourself if you want to be, you know, make your own personality, and then boom, you're pretty much done. It's actually really, really fun to do this because it is very creative, and it can express, you know, it probably could express yourself or your alter ego if you want, that, you know, could represent you as a whole. Pretty much makes more or less a personalized version of you, which is kind of fun. But people also make Fursonas not just for that reason, but they also make them because they either like the species or they just like the design of the character as a whole, which is kind of why people make Fursonas as well on the top end. It's not always about the personal features, it's just more or less about if they enjoy making Fursonas or if they enjoy having a Fursona. But yeah, that's technically what a Fursona is. I do hope you enjoyed my video, and I hope to see you in the next video. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one, and goodbye.